Excuse me. Larry, you getting in the Hall of Fame? Sorry. I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2017 Hall of Fame. And it's nice to be back in Birmingham. The last 2 years we were in Montgomery. We had some inductees there. And we had a nice venue at the Montgomery Country Club, but it's nice to be back in Birmingham. It's the home of our Hall of Fame and our office. And I'd like to thank Jeff Baker, Director of Tennis here at Vestavia, and Dottie Brown for helping and supporting hosting this event. Thanks, Dottie. Hope she's here. Before we begin our ceremony tonight, I would like to introduce our Hall of Fame members from previous years. So we'll start off with Keith Swindle, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Marvin Buchanan. Marvin just made the finals of the 90 doubles at Pinehurst Nationals. Rudy Lewis. Rudy, come on out. John Art. Eleanor Morrison. John Callan. John Pittman, stop hiding back there. Get up here. You're in the Hall of Fame. John still got jet lag. Jerry Nixon. Jerry, come up here, buddy. Good try. Dan Lucas. And Jeff Gray. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to pay my respects to all these members of the past Alabama Hall of Fame. All these individuals are stars, and they have inspired thousands of people to play this wonderful game. Let's give them a big hand and say thank you.
And Donnie Ellis.
We got two more people hiding at the bar. Dwight Giles. Jim Lashley. And our inductees tonight, Elaine Francis. The purpose of our foundation is to organize exclusively for charity and educational purposes, and for the induction of outstanding individuals into the Hall of Fame as we're doing tonight. And I would like to congratulate our three recipients tonight. Nobody gets in the Hall of Fame or gets the Hubert Kessler Award alone. Nobody here tonight gets here without teammates, family, community support, friends, and mentors. So we should get some good stories tonight from all three recipients. And now I'd like to introduce Jeff Gray, Chairman of the Hall of Fame. Before I introduce Jeff last month got inducted into the Southern Patrons Tennis Hall of Fame. Jeff Gray.
Thank you, Donnie, and welcome everyone. We're so happy to have each and every one of you here. And Many of you have been here since 8 o'clock this morning. Thank you for staying. We have some rather special guests here tonight. This year, for the first time, we've invited spouses of Hall of Fame members who are deceased. And this evening, we're blessed to have two. We have Vivian Herron. Hold your hand up, Vivian. And Merle Cobb. Calvin, thank you for being here. Both of your husbands were special people, and we appreciate your being here and hope you'll return every year. Thank you both. We have also a few people here who have, either as volunteers or as staff, dedicated their life to making your life as a tennis player better. And I would like very much to introduce, and I'd like for you just to raise your hand so that they know you're here. We have, first, I'd like to congratulate Barbara Ernest, our new president. We had a wonderful meeting today. Barbara's in the back. And congratulate Terry Burns, who's our new executive director. We have with us tonight from USTA Southern, we have Bonnie Vandergriff, who is the Executive Vice President of USTA Southern. Where are you, Bonnie? I know you're here. Yeah. She and her husband volunteered and turned out dedicated their lives to a lot more tennis than they probably planned originally, and we appreciate your being here. Eleanor Marston, one of our Hall of Fame people, is chair of the USTA National Awards Committee. And in addition to all she does for us, we have one of my great friends, Winky Olson, and her husband, Stu. Winky is the executive secretary to John Callan, and John Callan is executive director of USTA Southern. Our own person from Alabama, and his wonderful wife, Frances, are here. So thank you all for being here. As the meeting is over and we're having our dinner, it would be fun for you to get to know these people if you don't already. So, all right, on with the program. And we have three wonderful people to honor tonight. And our first award will be the Hubert Kessler Service Award. For those of you who don't know Hubert, I want you to know him a little better. He is from Tuscaloosa. He is a past president of USTA Alabama. He was a volunteer in his city. He volunteered for USTA Southern. He was an avid league player and USTA age group player. And it's a very special award to us on the committee because he was our chair. And this year, Keith Swindle, the director of tennis from Indian Hills Country Club, a board member for USTA Alabama and a Hall of Fame member, will be introducing to you Martha Zena from Tuscaloosa. So at this time, I'd like to have Keith come up to introduce Martha.
Hey everybody, wanted to also mention Jeff, all the work you put into this and your committee. Thank you for all that you do, because you make this night go so seamlessly and special for those of us that have been in the Hall of Fame, and for Martha who's getting the Hubert Kessler Award, and we really do appreciate all your work. Elaine and Sam, welcome to the club. You did miss one thing, my friend, because I snuck in here at the end. Kurt Keating's wife, Claire, is here, and his daughter, Christine and Claudia. You see, this is going to be hard for Jeff to understand, but when I was in college, you know, when you go to the class and the first day they hand out the syllabus and the professor tells you about everything you're going to have to do for that course. If they said that there was an oral presentation, I dropped the class. You believe that, Jeff? Well, it's true. But I've learned from some very important people in my life, and when my best friend, Mark Kessler, called and asked me if I would introduce, this is normally Mark Kessler, Hubert Kessler's son's job. And if you've ever heard Mark speak, he learned it from his dad, and he is so eloquent. He makes everyone feel like they're a part of it. And so I'm going to try my best to channel my innermost Mark Kessler and Hubert Kessler. Because if Hubert were here tonight, he would have already been asking Jeff and I who each and every one of you were. And he would recognize each and every one of you. Before this speech was over tonight, you would know that he knew you and you would feel like a huge part of this. Am I right, John? Hubert was one of those go-to guys. You know, when I was putting everything together for Martha, that's the thing that kept coming up. Martha's our go-to person. Martha's our person who's behind the scenes. She never asked for any kind of recognition. I've had tennis committees. I've had Crimson Racket Club. We've had ATA boards. Martha has been involved in all of those things. Crimson Racket Club, Tuscaloosa Tennis Association, but she's not looking to hold a post. She doesn't want the name. She doesn't want the title. She's your go-to person when you need something done. She was a team captain for these lovely ladies here on the front row here. And I promise you, you could ask Joe, or you could ask Carolyn, or Kathy, or Celia, and they would tell you that for all the years that Martha was their captain, they didn't have to worry about anything because Martha had to take it care of. She had you there on time, she had the lineup, she had the balls, she had the food. You didn't have to worry about anything because she loved you guys and she just wanted you to come and have a good time. And she took care of things for you. Right now, for this summer, my wife had a stroke. So we have this huge tournament every year that Hubert Kessler he and Kurt made into this huge event in Tuscaloosa where we have over 200 men for a week. And I'm in the hospital with my wife. Well, what did I do? I went to my go-to, Martha. And she went to her go-to, Christine, and all her other friends. And they made that tournament go off without a hitch. That's what a volunteer does. That's what a true volunteer who is giving you of their time and of their energy for nothing else except they want things to be better for everybody. And that's who you are, Martha. I got one more thing. So Martha's biggest passion now is the University of Alabama women's tennis team. She has been a tireless worker. If you come to an Alabama women's tennis match or a men's match, Martha's the first one there. She's bringing her little stories in. She's bringing in tablecloths. She's bringing in food. She's bringing in Gatorade. She's bringing in things to make it look nice. She's there before any of the girls get there. She's the last one to leave, and she makes it special. If we have anything that we have, and she has a crew. Barbara said there's other people that help her, but she's the ringleader, and they would tell you that. So I want to read you a letter that Jenny Mines wrote from Martha. This will sum it up, Jeff. I know I went longer than 2 minutes, but I think I'm doing pretty good. For me, I've known Martha Zena for the past 19 years since my arrival to the University of Alabama. Martha has unselfishly given so much time and energy to the Tuscaloosa Tennis Association, the Crimson Racket Club, and our University of Alabama tennis programs. There are a few ways that Martha has been very successful in making all of these tennis organizations she's involved with better. Martha's love for the game of tennis and her love for building others up have positively impacted all these groups. Martha's next gift is that she makes all these tennis groups better, is that she's always willing to serve others. And she just goes on and on, whether it's parents and family weekends, senior weekends, SEC tournaments, ITA kickoff weekends. Lastly, Martha cares deeply for our Alabama tennis student athletes, coaches, support staff, and the Tuscaloosa tennis community. Martha's vision is for everyone to leave the University of Alabama, tennis fans, student athletes, opposing teams, and coaches with a memorable experience. Her loyalty and commitment to tennis in the Tuscaloosa community is admirable. Thank you to Martha Zena for her love, her service, and her caring spirit. She has undoubtedly made a lasting impression on our Alabama tennis community. Martha.
As all of you know, Hubert was a prince of a guy. All of you know that. And he did such great things for tennis and devoted so much of his time to make the game better and to benefit the game. And he was definitely the consummate volunteer. So when Jeff called me about this award, I told him, I said, Jeff, I'm really very flattered, but I'm not sure I can measure up to Hubert Kessler. And I don't know that for sure that I deserve this. And he said, well, there are people who think that you do. So I want to thank them, beginning with Keith, for nominating me and all the nice things he just said. Also to those who wrote letters on my behalf, and especially, of course, to the committee for selecting me, and then particularly to the people who came here tonight to support me. And I also want to thank the Kessler family for establishing this award. What a wonderful way to memorialize Hubert and to continue his legacy. So, in closing, I just want to say that I am truly honored to have my name added to that beautiful crystal trophy that bears his name. Thank you.
Martha is the 5th recipient of this award, and it resides in the Hall of Fame room in the state office, and her name will be added to it. The award is given to someone who is a local volunteer in our state who might not otherwise be recognized in any way. So thank you, Martha. If someone wrote the letters about me that they wrote about Martha, I would be very excited. So, well done, Martha. Thank you. We will now start our Hall of Fame induction, and the person on the far left to you, far right to you, far left for me, is William Thane. William first met Elaine as she was running a tournament in Montgomery, the state qualifying, and he was an employee of the city. He then became on the board of directors at USTA Alabama, and then more currently is director of junior tennis for USTA Alabama. When I asked William about what his job description was, William told me that he did whatever no one else wanted to do. Well, tonight that's not true, because many of us would be happy to introduce Elaine. So at this time, please welcome William, who will introduce Elaine Francis.
Well, as a disclaimer, I'm wearing new glasses, so if by chance I'm shedding tears, it's strictly because of the glasses that I'm getting adjusted to. Our first Hall of Fame recipient tonight truly embodies everything that USTA Alabama stands for. Serving others, giving back to every tennis player in our state. She loves USTA Alabama, and she expects every one of us to do the same. The first time I met Elaine, as Jeff mentioned, was at Lagoon 22 years ago. She was working at the desk at the state qualifier. I was what we call a green parent of a child playing tennis. I didn't know what my son needed to do to qualify for Southern, so I asked the tournament director, and he said, go ask Elaine. She knows everything. So I go meet her for the first time, and she sits me down and spends about 15 minutes with me going over everything Jordan needed to do, and I saw her do that for the next 22 years. Every time a parent came in with a question about that, she would sit down, take the time, and explain it to them. She's truly been an inspirational leader, one that quietly sits back in the shadows. She lets her staff venture out trying new things to promote the game, but ever so cautiously, keeping a close eye that we all do what's right for Alabama tennis. Especially the kids. Oh, the kids. They are the love of her life. Her kids her grandkids, her biggest kid, Larry. She truly embodies everything about USTA Alabama. The juniors involved in tennis, they're really her adopted kids. They affectionately call her Miss Elaine. If you're around a tournament and Elaine's there, you're going to hear Miss Elaine at least 30 times. That's one of the reasons the board, over a decade ago, established the Elaine Francis Junior Excellence Award. It's awarded annually to a player who exemplifies character, leadership, and who has a great enthusiasm for the game. She has served as executive director for 34 years. And I'm going to let her tell some about those 34 years. She's the only executive director in the South that has attended every Southern Cup that our juniors players have played in. I know because I've attended 13 of those with her. It is our loss that she is retired at the end of December. But luckily for us, she has still been at the office every morning, 7:30, except one day, because she truly loves Alabama tennis. It is truly my honor to introduce what I affectionately call her the First Lady of Alabama tennis, Miss Elaine Francis.
I want to thank the people that nominated me, and I want to thank the board for honoring me to be here. William and I have always had a special time together. And I don't know what we would do without William in junior tennis. He talks about me in junior tennis, but William is the one that travels the state. He's the one that gets all the telephone calls, and he's the one that really knows all the answers. And personally, I'm supposed to be in the back of the room, making sure everybody has seats, and you got in safely, and the dinner was almost ready. I'm not supposed to be here. It is with great joy that I am here. Most of you know, and I'm sure I'm the only one in the room that does not play tennis. I have never played tennis. And here I am. So, who knows? People used to go up to my daughters who are sitting there, and they say, "Your mother must be an absolutely fantastic tennis player to be executive director of Alabama Tennis." And their answer was, "No, she just tells everybody else what to do." So I guess that's what I've done for 34 years, is just tell everybody else what to do. My love of tennis started a long time ago when I was running tournaments at Mountain Brook Swim and Tennis. And from that, I got a call one day from Wade Heron. And Wade said, "Elaine, would you like to come be co-executive director with Susan Briggs?" And I said, "Well, I love tennis, but Wade, at the moment, I teach 3-year-old kindergarten 3 days a week." He said, "No problem. The job will take you half a day, maybe 2 days a week." Okay. I said, okay. So that's when I started. And I couldn't have been luckier. The people I worked with are unbelievable. Susan Briggs was the other executive director. We had Wade Heron. We had Les Longshore. and we had Ann Callie. And you can't get any better than that. So I think that's why I kept on. It just was true love immediately. Let's see, I got other things here too. No, I don't do public speaking a lot. I think I'm kind of like the girl said I was. My public speaking is you're playing on court 3. And you haven't reported your score. And no, you can't take 5 bathroom breaks in the first set. So that's mainly what I do. I've got notes I can't find. Another thing that has been great is meeting so many different people around the state. And today, at the state meeting that we held today, I met so many juniors that are now grown and tennis players. And I think once you start playing as a junior, you don't ever stop, ever. And my first contact really with juniors came from Kurt Kenny from Tuscaloosa. And he and I started traveling together, taking kids to tournaments, which was wonderful. Kurt, well, one tournament we were going to, taking some kids, and Kurt thought that people need to know that we were from Alabama, but there wasn't enough money to buy outfits for all the kids. So he went home and he had his girls, as he always called them. They made shirts for all the team, and the team was thrilled to have them. They looked a little homemade, but that was okay. You know, it was fun. Another trip Kurt and I took together was to Memphis. And we had a van load of kids. And I think most of you that have driven to Memphis, it probably takes you, probably at the most, 3.5 to 4 hours. With Kurt driving, it took 5.5 hours to get to Memphis and 5.5 hours to get back. He didn't believe in going over 45 miles an hour. I mean, he had a van full of kids. He had to be careful, very careful. Another person that really showed me a lot was John McWilliams of Selma. We used to have what we called the Pepsi playoffs. And kids from all over the state would come to Selma for the finals. They'd play during the day, and Johnny Mack would then invite all parents and kids to the antebellum homes in Selma, where dinner was served very nicely, and then the kids would go home and then come back the next day and do it all over again. Also, he would have newspaper ads like this, telling everybody what was going on, and they even had a parade. So that kind of showed me what you can do with the tournament, rather than just saying, go get on the court. He made sure they all had a wonderful time. It's not just the events that make tennis great, though. It's the people. It's you all, every one of you. The tournament directors who work so hard all the time. The past presidents who give 2 years of their life to support tennis. In fact, I'd like for all the past presidents to stand up. Please. That might be all I was going to say. No, there's a couple, well, actually, there's more than a couple of people I want to thank personally. When I first started, I told you we were in Wade's office. And Wade's office was 4 rooms, and they made tennis court equipment in the back. So we were always covered in green paint. So we stayed there a while, and then we had a wonderful man by the name of Gary Howard that said, y'all can come over to Highland. We have a big tower up there, and y'all can have that. And we said, that's great. So we moved to Highland and got in the big tower. And we kind of got old after a while. In fact, one time William Thane and Jeff Waring and someone else, we were in the tower doing a draw. And a storm came up, and the tower was going. So then Gary said, well, he said, there's an old building on the side down there y'all can have. It's where the golfers go and play poker. So we said, okay, it's a bigger room, so we'll go down there. So we did, and we got rid of the pool table and the old Coke machines, and we went down there. So we stayed there, gosh, forever. Thanks for Gary, he built a special room in the pro shop for our Hall of Fame. So it was thanks to Gary. Thank you, Gary. And then we had Donnie come along. And Donnie says, y'all really need something a little better. So for 2 years, Donnie was president. All he did was work on getting us our new building. And it's gorgeous, and we love it, and we hope you'll all come to see us. And thank you for letting me have 34 years of pure joy. I forgot something. Sorry. I forgot. My husband. Since I was out playing and having fun with tennis, he was home taking care of our 2 daughters and our dogs. And I want to point out, the love of my life will be married 59 years next month.
And this is yours. It's not, no longer belongs to USTA. It's yours. For a person who doesn't play tennis and doesn't public speak, she did pretty good. Thank you, Elaine. And you, Willie. Thank you. Okay, to carry on with the evening, Sam Hooper, longtime player, longtime friend of mine, will be introduced tonight by his longtime friend Dwight Giles. Dwight and Sam first became friends playing tennis together in Birmingham at Highland Park. Dwight was put into the Hall of Fame in the year 2000, excuse me. So at this time, please welcome Dwight Giles to introduce Sam Hooper.
Good evening. I was reminded of a story Elaine was telling about logging all these people in at the tournaments and everything. And my son Charlie and I were waiting to get a court assignment one day, and these 2 young lads walked up and they're reporting their scores, right? So, you know, normally speaking, the guy that wins has got the balls in his hand, right? So these 2 guys walk up to the tournament desk, and one's got the balls in his hand, and the other one says, he reports the scores. And so Elaine says, well, which one of you won? And John says, I won. Jim says, I won. I'm real sure how y'all reconcile that. But that's what people, like Elaine and people of those kind of responsibilities do. And I'm reasonably sure that John Callan had something to do with the lighting in here tonight, because he's tried to screw me up most of his life. I had no idea we were going to do this in the semi-darkness. I would have put my font 44 instead of 22, okay? But he's been trying to do that most of his friggin' life. Good evening. I have the wonderful privilege of introducing my friend and yours, Mr. Samuel O. Hooper. Right? Whatever y'all put on the other. Thank you. I knew you'd be introduced now. Before I do that, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Providence Hooper, Sam's lovely wife. Robbie, would you please stand up? Now, one of the reasons that Sam's a really, really good tennis player is because that Sam leaves in the morning, probably locks the door, and will not let him come back until dark. Before I start my introduction to Sam, I'd like to tell you a small story about Sam. And this is a guy who lives over in Georgia, or at least he did live over there. His name's Kenny Rogers. You know him. He's the know when you fold him, know when you do this, whatever, And he's had a successful career as a movie star and a singer, and pretty well-known guy, right? Kenny has had a mystery most of his life, though. People come up to him and they say, you look just like Sam Hooper. One of these days, Kenny's going to get to meet Sam and he'll understand why. You get that a lot, right? The mystery will be solved for him. I know that a lot of you know this, but I want to share it anyway. Sam won't ever tell you about it. Sam has a long history of service before his tennis days. Sam served in the United States Marine Corps in the Vietnam War. Hoorah. He was an NCO and is a decorated veteran. He was severely wounded in that theater of war. He still bears scars on his body today as evidence to his valiant service to his country and to us. We owe him and all of those that did that. We're here to talk about tennis and good times and not serious stuff like that. I met Sam and his adopted brother, the late Jim Price, one hot spring morning in the 1970s. I was a mere child, of course, at Highland Racquet Club. This was after the tennis boom brought on by the Riggs King match. The courts were difficult to come by during that time. I was playing singles with this Margaret Livingston. Margaret was training to go to the Southern tournament that year, and she won both the 35 singles and the 45 singles that year. We all know Margaret and how good she really was. Well, Sam and Jim had the court after we did, and they asked, do we want to play doubles? I looked at Margaret, she looked at me, and she said yes. So, we proceeded to play doubles, right? I think Sam and Jim learned a valuable lesson that morning. We all know the rule in doubles. You play to the weaker partner if you want to win. Well, Sam and Jim spent about a set and a half hitting all the balls to Margaret. The lesson they learned that morning was, you need to figure out the weaker of the two partners. That was me. Sam and Jim became regulars at Highlands, and both of them became great friends with me and with my family. Charlie, my son, who was really small when first met Sam, once introduced Sam, Jim, and another friend of ours, Pete Hires, who was a former linebacker for Duke University, to one of his little friends. And the little guy said, "Boy, you sure do have big friends." Sam worked very hard on his tennis game and soon became a very accomplished player. Sam and I began playing doubles together sometime after this, and we had a lot of fun going to tournaments and winning every once in a while anyway. Sam at that time had a fairly unusual trait. He would serve the ball with his right hand, shift the racket over to his left hand, and then play out the point left-handed. And I've often heard opponents say, "Is the guy right-handed or left-handed?" Trying to figure out, of course, where to hit the ball, right? Sam and I played doubles together for several years. And for some reason or another, he threw me over for an obscure player by the name of Hugh Thompson. I don't know what he saw in this guy. Well, we all know about that, right? Anyway, Sam started playing with Hugh and also Larry Morgan and some others, and became an excellent doubles player, winning many, many tournaments. Sam has been ranked number 1 in his age bracket in doubles, starting in the 35s, all the way through almost all of the age brackets to age 70. Of course, he won't own up to that except at a tournament time, right? He has won Southern Senior Championships, Alabama State Championships, and many local tournaments, and has represented the state of Alabama on the 65 and over Senior Cup team for the last several years. Sam has served the tennis community well with his efforts as chairman of the Birmingham Tennis Classic, as well as serving in many other capacities of local tournaments to ensure their success. He has tirelessly served as a chair umpire, linesman in many tournaments. Did you know Sam? You will know that he has a habit of helping others and serving the needs of others. I myself have experienced this help a great deal in these past difficult months for myself. Sam is richly deserving of the honor and privilege of being inducted into the Alabama Tennis Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sam Hooper as a new member of the Alabama Tennis Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I asked Dwight not to drink before he introduced me, but he didn't pay any attention. Like I said, my beautiful wife, probably 48 years, my family, and of course my friends who come in here tonight. Tennis is more than a game to me. It's special. I'll tell you a little story about my life, and I've never told anybody before, not even my family, except for Probably, knows about this. In 1965, I was a 20-year-old Marine Corps sergeant, and I was sent to Vietnam as a squad leader. In 1966, I was wounded, and I was sent back home and discharged. I came back to Birmingham. And like every soldier, I wouldn't do anything special, but every soldier comes back after spending time in the combat zone and suffers from PTSD. The problem was in 1966, I didn't know I had it. And nobody would tell you. They never addressed it. I didn't hear those words PTSD until 1996, 30 years after I came back, when I was diagnosed with it at Veterans Hospital. But when I got home, I joined the service because I wanted to get out and go to school on the GI Bill, but all I did was just sit around the house, and I was just really, really depressed, full of anger and hate, and I didn't want to leave the house. And a friend of mine, Jim Price, came by one day. He came out to get me out of the house because he knew I needed to get out and do something. So we drove down to the park, and he got out the trunk and got out 2 tennis rackets and 1 tennis ball. And for a while, we went to buy a can of balls. We didn't know they came in 3. We just thought they came in 1. So we got out there. We didn't know how to play, but we could hit the ball as hard as we could. If we didn't knock it over the back fence, we felt like we was doing good. But from that first day, out there running and getting out of the house and hitting that ball, I just felt something special about tennis. I didn't know what it was. I just knew I liked it, and I wanted to do more of it. So it was really hard to get out of the house, but to go play tennis, I didn't mind getting out of the house and go down for an hour and a half, 2 hours and play tennis. So we did that every day. And after a while, I could just sort of feel my life changing. I feel like I wanted to get out of the house. I didn't want to stay in there and be a hermit the rest of my life. So I did. I started getting out, started playing more tennis. I met my wife, Probby. I enrolled at UAB and started going to school. And I had a friend of mine that asked me to go to work for him, and I did. So I was going to school, playing tennis, working hard. After a few years, he retired, and I was fortunate enough to be able to take over the business. So life was good. At one time, my life was spiraling out of control downhill. I didn't know why, and I didn't know how to stop it. And I later realized that tennis was that rope that I grabbed onto to keep me from going any further down than what I already was. But, thanks to tennis in my life, I've had a good marriage, wonderful marriage. I've had a great life, and most of all, I've had some wonderful friends. The best friends a man could ever have. And I just want to thank my friends for playing tennis with me. But most of all, I want to thank you for being my friends. And God bless you, and I love you. Thank you.
Sam is old school. I've been on the court with Sam a lot, and he is a gentleman on the court and off the court, as you know. And congratulations to you, Sam. If Sam was at a tournament, Elaine would not have to coach him. To Elaine and Sam, to include you into this group is an honor for us. You give this group of people, we are honored to have you, and you honor us by accepting. So thank you both very much. To those of you who came...
I've got the Elaine syndrome. I forgot to say something. I have to forgive me, I was a little nervous to get up here, but I want to tell you that I'm honored and humbled to be part of this group here tonight. So thank you.
You all here tonight have witnessed a unique event tonight. And can you imagine having a ceremony with no audience? And it would be no fun at all for us and for the people involved. So thank each of you. We wish you safe travels, and we hope you come back.
Jeff,
Before you...
something out.
USTA Alabama is just no fun, is it? We do have dinner planned for you, and we will adjourn and have dinner, which will be right behind us. There will just be big tables. Get with your friends and family, and certainly talk to Elaine, talk to Martha, and talk to Sam, and everybody that's here. So thank you. We are adjourned, and again, we are honored, so thank you.